بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek His forgiveness, His guidance, and His assistance. And we take refuge with Him from the evil within ourselves and from the consequence of our misdeeds. Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives guidance, none can mislead, and whoever misleads, none can guide. I testify that there's nothing and no one worthy of worship besides Allah alone. He has no partners, and I testify that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, is his slave, servant, and messenger. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him peace and to extend to him our salutations on this blessed day, during this blessed month, just as we ask him to grant peace to his family members, his companions, and everyone who follows in goodness and goodwill into the meeting and the reckoning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, very soon we will be visited once again, inshaAllah ta'ala, God willing, by the blessed month of Ramadan. This is a month wherein we celebrate the revelation of the Qur'an as it was sent down from the heavens up above to the lowest heavens to the house known as Baytul Izzah, the house of honor in the lowest heaven. It is that night upon which we gather and worship on a night we refer to as Laylatul Qadr, the night of destiny, the night of fate, the night of power. It is a blessed night, as the Qur'an says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. Indeed, we sent it down during a blessed night. So we celebrate the Qur'an during this month, and the way we celebrate is through fasting. It's through fasting by abstaining from food, drink, and other types of things related to our appetite during the daytime until the setting of the sun, as we know. But it's about celebrating the Qur'an, we have to remember that it is also a celebration of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, the one who brought the Qur'an, or the Qur'an was given to. The Qur'an, this amazing book, as we know, which is not only a book that conveys the meaning of God's words, but are God's actual words given to humanity. And we know it is a book which has been preserved from over 1,400 years to this very day. Every Muslim on the planet reads the same book. It is a book which it contains 114 verses, 114 surahs or chapters. It is a book which comprises of more than 320,000 letters and more than 77,000 words. It is a book which begins with Surah Al-Fatiha and ends with Surah Al-Nas. And that is important in that Al-Fatiha begins with a prayer, And Surah An-Nas, in concluding this book, it ends with a prayer. That first prayer is a prayer for guidance, Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim, and the ending prayer is a prayer of protection, preceded by Surah Al-Falaq, which we call the two chapters in Ma'uwidhatan, the two protecting chapters of the Qur'an, one surah seeking protection by God or with God from physical harm in Surah Al-Falaq, and the second, the last chapter of the Qur'an, we ask protection from spiritual harm, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is interesting that about these two chapters at the end of the book is that they are preceded by two other chapters, which begin with Qul, although not successively, but say they begin with Qul, and those other two chapters are Surah Al-Ikhlas, the chapter of sincerity, and the other Surah Al-Kafirun, the chapter of the non-believers or rejectors of faith, where Allah, He calls us to say certain things. So by preceding the two protecting surahs with these two verses, these two surahs which are sometimes referred to as Surata Al-Ikhlas, the two chapters of sincerity, wherein one of them actually is doing nothing more than emphasizing to the non-believers that we are Muslims and we worship a God that you do not worship, and you worship a God. We worship a God that you do not worship, and we worship a God that you do not worship. Nor will we do worship or serve what you serve, nor should you expect us to serve what you serve. Lakum dinukum waliya din. To you belong your way, and to ours belong our way. So that is the first of what we call the two chapters of Ikhlas, of sincerity, followed by the next chapter which describes who our God is and who our God is not. And then Allah follows us up with these concluding chapters which are asking for protection from physical and spiritual harm, as if to say that it is extremely important for the believer to be clear about what is distinct about themselves and about this tradition given to them by God. And they should want to protect that which has been given to them by God, and not allow the threat of physical harm to lead them into compromising on their beliefs and their religion. Nor should they be so afraid of spiritual harm to the extent that they be led into violence themselves against others. Because if we are certain of our faith, then there's no need to bring harm to other people. The Prophet's way was a way of persuasion. It was not a way of compulsion. It was a way of persuasion, that he appealed to people's intellect. So this is important for us. The Qur'an being a book, a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a guidance for humanity, hudan lin-nas, a guidance for all humanity, but a book, though being a guidance for all humanity, whose benefit can only be extracted by one who is seeking closeness to God. Hudan lil-muttaqin. It is a guidance for the God conscious. As the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah begins, Alif Lam Mim, Zalika al-kitabu la rayba fihi, hudan lil-muttaqin. A guidance for the God conscious, those who are seeking to ward off the punishment in the hereafter from God. And if you're not reading it with that type of perspective, then you won't get or extract the full benefit of it. It is a book of guidance. It's not simply a novel or something you read or try. It's not a story, and you become aware of that as soon as you open up the book. That it is not something you can just read for beginning, middle, and end of story. Rather, it is a book of guidance. And the Quran even says that the Quran can be a source of misguidance for certain people. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And we send down from the Quran what is a cure and a mercy for the believers. وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. But it only increases wrongdoers in ruin. It only increases wrongdoers in ruin. So it can become a source of misguidance for people who are not seeking closeness to Allah, be they non-Muslim or Muslim, or people who profess to be Muslim. As we know, we've seen people go astray. because their hearts are not in the right place. They're not truly seeking closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are things that we definitely need to reflect upon. But coming back to the earlier point that I made, that while we celebrate the Qur'an, we cannot forget about the very fact that we're celebrating Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, because he was the Qur'an walking. He was the walking Qur'an. Kana Qur'anu yamshi. He is the basis for orthodoxy, Islamic orthodoxy. Is Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. That Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, this messenger of mercy, was also a messenger of justice. And we have to be very careful about this, that we don't distort the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ, such that we make him into this individual who is only concerned with peace to the extent that he sacrifices justice. That he is a messenger of mercy and a messenger of justice. The Prophet ﷺ, yes, he was also a warrior. He fought when it was necessary. He was a messenger of justice. And we have to be very careful that we don't emphasize the peace or his peaceful nature to the extent that we forget that he at times, he felt it necessary to pursue justice. But he himself, I would say, is that Muhammad ﷺ, though being a warrior, or what I would call a pugilist, a fighter, that Muhammad ﷺ was the pugilist par excellence, or par excellence. Meaning that a person who truly is a fighter and understands the degree that they can bring harm to another, that individual pities his enemy. Because the enemy, though I may be aware of my enemy's weaknesses, I may pity my enemy because he doesn't or she doesn't realize just how much power I have in my hand, how much support I have, in particular from the giver of all support and all power, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the Prophet ﷺ and the believers were promised in a number of battles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send his angels to support them. One verse said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send, if you are patient and persevere, and you seek closeness to Allah, then Allah will send 1,000 angels to support you. And in one verse he mentions 5,000 angels that were sent to support you. Wallahu ya'asimuka minan nas. Allah told the Prophet that he would protect him from the people, which was something which assuaged or lessened his anxiety about being assassinated or being killed. Because Allah promised him that I'll protect you from the people. And he knew when Allah told him that I'll give you whatever you ask for. That once after the incident in Ta'if, when the Prophet ﷺ had went there for asylum and was driven out by the scoundrels of Ta'if, the angel Gabriel alayhi salam appeared to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with the angel of the mountains. And he said, Allah has sent with me the angel of the mountains and has said to tell you that if you want to, that this angel can lift up these mountains and pulverize these people into extinction. But what did the Prophet ﷺ do? Say, no, I have not been sent for that. Rather, I hope that there will come from these people, among their offspring, those who worship Allah, la yushrikuna bihi shay'a, without associating any partners with him. He understood his power. He understood his strength. But this is the way that he reacted in many situations. That the Prophet ﷺ was an individual who was more concerned about our hereafter, the salvation of our souls, than he was about our physical well-being. He was more concerned about that. That becomes clear when you look closely at his seerah, that he's more concerned about that, and that was primarily what he was sent for, salvation in the hereafter. And for this very reason, it is why he had this freedom ethic, or this freedom principle that he applied, that he did not compel people into doing things. He wanted to be sure that when people did things, they did them for Allah. He did them willfully, so that they would get the reward from God when that time had come for them to be judged. This is why when Ma'az ibn Malik, radiallahu anhu, may Allah forgive him and be pleased with him, he was a man who committed adultery. He comes to the Prophet ﷺ, and he's seeking to be purified. Because you know in Islam, the basic teaching was that the person should be stoned. He comes to the Prophet, Tahirni, purify me, O Messenger of God. And the Prophet, he turned away, and he kept saying to him, well, perhaps you didn't do what you think you did. He turned him away, and go back and make tawbah, go repent to Allah. He comes back again, I have committed adultery. And he sends him back again, go and repent to God. 3 times he comes, the 3rd time he comes, okay, he gives him the opportunity again to recant. No, he doesn't recant. So the Prophet ﷺ is certain that he wants to be purified. So he has a number of the believers come together and they throw stones and other things at him. Ma'az is overwhelmed by the beating. He runs away. They chase him and they kill him. When the people returned, the Prophet asked them, well, what did you do to Ma'az? He said, we killed him. And they said, you could have, well, why didn't you leave him? هَلَّا تَرْتُمُوهُ لَعَلَّهُ يَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ فَيَتُوبُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ فَيَتُوبُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. They said that, why didn't you leave him? And maybe he would have repented to God and God would have forgiven him. At any rate, the whole point was that the Prophet ﷺ, it was only when he was certain that Ma'az was ready to be purified that he went ahead and implemented and enforced this rule. Similar to this, you find with a woman from Al-Ghamidiyya who had come and also confessed. She had confessed and the Prophet ﷺ tried to do the same with her. Turn her away, go make tawbah to Allah, go repent. Go repent. And so she says, well, maybe you're trying to do with me the same thing you did with Ma'az. But I want to let you know one thing. I'm pregnant. And so the Prophet said to her, well, go and have your baby. So he's given her opportunity to do what? She could flee if she liked. Go have your baby. She goes, she gives birth. She returns to the Prophet, ﷺ, and then she says, Ya Rasulullah, I have given birth. Here's the child. The Prophet looks and he says, go back and milk, give your child milk until it's weaned off of your milk. So 2 more years. Sends her back again. Again, she can flee at any time. After the child is weaned off of her milk, she returns to him, this time with the baby holding a piece of bread in his hand, as an indication that it has been weaned off of her milk. And it was only at this moment that the Prophet ﷺ had decided that now she is ready to meet her Lord. And when she meets her Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not punish her for what she has done. She will be purged of her sin. This will be her penance. And when the Prophet went to actually pray over her after this, Umar ibn Khattab comes and he turns to the Prophet and says, how can you pray over someone who committed adultery? And then the Prophet responds to Umar, he said, she has repented in such a fashion. If that repentance had been divided amongst 70 of the people of Medina, it would be enough for all of them. It would be enough for all of them. Right. So the Prophet ﷺ, he employed what we can call sort of a freedom principle, a freedom ethic with the people. This way. And one final story I just want to mention, just to show you the Prophet ﷺ, how this worked in the life of those who had not accepted Islam as well. A man by the name of Sufyan ibn Umayyah, he was the son of Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who actually was the one who was famously would torture Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu before he accepted Islam, or when he accepted Islam. That Umayyah ibn Khalaf was killed on Badr, the day of Badr. His son Sufyan ibn Umayyah remained in opposition to the Prophet ﷺ all the way up till the conquest and even beyond the conquest. So in the year 8, when the Muslims had taken over Mecca, Sufyan still had not accepted Islam. He ran away, but he was tracked down and he was given a promise of security. His relatives, his cousin, he found them. He said, the Prophet promises you that he won't harm you. Return to Mecca. He returns to Mecca and he calls out to the Prophet when he sees him. He says, I've been told that you've given me 2 months to consider my options. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't say anything. Safwan demanded, he says, I will not go anywhere until you clarify to me the truth. And then the Prophet said to him, no, not 2 months, I'll give you 4. Safwan, he goes home. A few weeks later, the raid on Hunayn was being planned. And the Prophet ﷺ needed some munitions, some weaponry, some chainmail, armor, among other things. Safwan ibn Umayyah, he had a lot of that. So he goes to Safwan and he asks him, he's not a Muslim yet. He asks him, please lend us some of this, your preparations, your war preparations. Safwan says to him, are you going to force me to do so? So the Prophet said, no. You do it willfully if you like. Rather, I'm just going to borrow this from you. And I will guarantee you if anything's lost, I will return it. So they go. And Safwan along with them, he goes and fights with the Muslims when they raid Hunayn. And Safwan, he goes because he said he preferred, I would rather be ruled by a man from Quraysh rather than someone from the Hawazin. Because he was from the Quraysh himself. So it was only tribalism that he fought with the Prophet ﷺ. Once the battle was over, the Prophet ﷺ, he gave to Safwan 100 camels. He rewarded him 100 camels. Then he gave him another 100. Then he gave him another 100. 300 camels as a reward. And also returned all of his armor and chainmail to him. And at that moment, it was when Safwan had a different perspective about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As in a statement famously attributed to him, he said, "A'atani ma a'atani wa kana la'abghadu an-nasi ilayhi." He said he gave me what he gave me when he was the most hated of all people to me. وَمَا يَزَالَ يُعْطِيني حَتَّى لَكَانَ لَأَحَبَّ النَّاسِ إِلَيْهِ. He said, and he continued to give me until he became the most beloved of all people to me. He said that only someone who was a prophet would be okay with this. And so he accepted Islam. He accepted Islam. But the Prophet, as I said, he had this freedom principle, as I call it, this freedom ethic that oftentimes we don't really hear much about. When we hear things about Islamic legal punishments, and we hear things about the Prophet going to war, among other things, we have to remember that Rasulullah, his primary purpose was to give us salvation in the hereafter. And we ourselves have to remember that that is what being a Muslim is all about. Is gaining salvation in the hereafter. We cannot allow fear to make us flee from our religion and give up valuing our religion. And I will end with this, but there's a recent Pew study that came out, which actually, where a number of Muslims were questioned about whether or not they believed that Islam was the only true religion. And out of those who were questioned, only 35% of them said yes. Now, some people may say, well, okay, well, good, alhamdulillah, we can coexist with other people. But we have to remember that Islam does make exclusive claims. It is a religion like other religions, like Christianity in particular, which makes this critical claim of being the only true religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That those who hear of this religion, and they understand it and they reject it, those people, our teachings, what the Qur'an teaches us is that those people will not have salvation. Those people will not have salvation if they reject it. If they reject it. Accepting it doesn't mean that you necessarily come out even public to us. As long as you reconcile your heart with God in private. If you're afraid to come out publicly for whatever reason, that in itself, that in itself is not a condition for the validity of your acceptance of Allah and His Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, wa subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to value what we have and to make faith something that's beloved to us and make unbelief something that is abhorrent to us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. Yes. Yes. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين. So once again, brothers and sisters, though there may be a lot of pressures, we have to be very concerned about what the future of Islam will look like in the world, not just here in the West, as we call it. We have to be very much concerned about that. The more we capitulate, the more our children will see how unimportant it is for us to value Islam, or to value the Qur'an, or to value the teachings of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And so it's important for us to really immerse ourselves in our religion, and especially the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Try to read it with an open mind and open heart. Try to understand the aims and goals of the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, even beyond the manuals of Islamic law. Islam is not just about law. It's not just about aqidah or creed. It's not even only just about spirituality. It's all three of those. Everything's intertwined, everything's interrelated. And when we emphasize one over the other, then there's going to be an imbalance. But most importantly, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, ibn Abdul Muttalib, ibn Hashim, he is the one who determines, or his example is the example which gives us the image of what true orthodoxy looks like. And we have to make him or restore him to the place of exemplar par excellence. Inshallah. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا انك انت التواب الرحيم اللهم حبب الينا الايمان اللهم حبب الينا الايمان اللهم حبب الينا الايمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره الينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين ربنا آت أنفسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها ربنا إنا نسألك الجنة وما يقرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما يقرب إليها من قول وعمل ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما ربنا اجعلنا مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتنا ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب ربنا انزلنا منزلا مباركا وانت خير المنزلين مع الذين انعمت عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن اولئك رفيقا وسبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين واقم الصلاه.